in order, please rise. Pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the 2013 Tuscarora Township Annual Meeting. This is your meeting. We'll take comments after we deal with two issues of the minutes. You've got a copy of the minutes. We need a motion from someone to either amend or dispense the minutes. Yes?
Yeah.
Is there support? Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Committee reports, Parks Commission.
We had our new board elected in the fall, and I'm Jennifer Andrew. I'm the chairman of the Parks Commission, and our other members are Ben Colley and Angie Nowkowski, Terry Kroll, and Robin Fagan. And the last few years we've kind of been in maintenance mode, just taking care of Cooperation Park, DeVoe Beach, and the Green Docks. And a new addition we've had is Hideaway Park. If you go down River Street to the end, we've cleaned that up, and it's kind of been a community effort with the school has helped out. So if you get a chance to go down there, it's been cleaned up and it's really beautiful. And we're just trying to, keep everything up and beautiful as it is. And our newest project at Cooperation Park, if you get a chance to go look, is we got, I don't know if you know, the old red posts that have kind of lined to separate the grass from the driveway. They've been there for years and they've deteriorated and they're falling apart. And we got these beautiful, Jim and his crew have worked very, very hard to put these new posts in, and they look beautiful. We only got enough to go halfway through now, but looking at it the way it is, we're definitely going to finish it off. But if you get a chance to go down and look at it, change the whole looks of Cooperation Park. We're very lucky to have Jim and his crew. They work very hard, and they've done a beautiful job at all of our parks areas. Another big project they did was we did one of the tennis courts. As anybody knows who's ever redone a tennis course, it's an extremely expensive project to do. And the guys took it on last year, and it ended up being quite a large job, but they did a beautiful job on it. So it saved us a lot of money, which was great, and hopefully we'll be able to do maybe one court a year or so and get them redone. We're also going to add pickleball court lines on one of the courts. So the two will stay regular tennis courts. You can still play regular tennis on the third court, but it'll also have pickleball lines. We also got a new project going on at DeVoe Beach. We're in the process of putting up a pavilion right now. It'll be going up, it's actually started, and it'll actually be erected on July 1st and 2nd.
Yes.
So hopefully by the 4th of July it'll be up and you can go look at the beautiful new pavilion too. We were fortunate enough that was won.
We won it.
We won it, the township won it, so it's beautiful metal pavilion, so we're lucky to have had that. The township won it, and now we're going to be putting it in at DeVoe Beach. So if you get a chance, please go look at that too. The Green Docks, it's been kind of nice. It's been another beautiful addition. I know the Green Docks have been there forever, and kids and families have always been able to enjoy jumping in the water at that point. It's looking more beautiful every year. There's just been a couple little additions there with the rain garden and the chairs. The kids, their transformation has been great through the last couple of years. We had a lot of kids in the beginning. Now we're seeing more families there, which has been really nice. And that's about everything for the Parks Commission. Does anybody have any questions? Probably one of our, we have a 5-year plan if anybody would ever be interested in viewing it, what we'd like to do in the future. But one of the things that we'd like to see done is we, in the last few years, have bought a piece of the Masons land at Cooperation Park. We'd like to make an additional baseball, softball field out there, and maybe we can bring in more tournaments with that. And we would do that in conjunction with Little League. And that's about it.
Thank you. Planning Commission? Anybody here can address the Planning Commission? Craig or Denny or somebody?
I wasn't prepared for this.
You're it.
What have we done in the last year? Primarily addressed modifications to the 10-year plan brought on by the census. And that was all approved through public attendance and approval and adopted by the township board. Other than that, it has not been an active commission unless any other members here have anything to add to it. I don't believe there's anything else that we've done. Do you recall anything at all?
Just an amendment in January of this year.
Yep, that's what it is.
Okay, right. I think, doesn't that cover it pretty well?
Yeah, the original planning, or the master plans over the last three times I've been involved in them, 90, 2001, I think, and then this last one. Because of our time schedule being every 10 years, they were always done about a year and a half before the census data was available. So we were doing the master plan right about the time they were taking the censuses. So we were always at the tail end and had the worst information, I guess. So we had decided when we did the master plan the last time, a few years ago, that for a little bit of money, we could update it in the middle and then get on the right cycle. And that's what we did this time.
Okay,
Question? Thank you.
Okay.
DDA? Did Dan call you? No.
Does that mean I'm winging it again this year?
You can wing it.
Stand behind this thing. Quit it. The DDA has been working progressively with the streetscape. Sometimes our agenda and when we would like things done doesn't particularly mesh with when other entities that we need their cooperation will work with us. We're waiting to go, the poles on the east side of 27 belong to AT&T, so we need to work with them, and we're waiting. The other piece is that I think that after 6 or 7 years, the pathway project will get started. Will probably be finished this year, but we're going to start with the school piece and get that done so that the kids can walk to school safely, and then work down towards getting the bridge across the Sturgeon in. The last email was yesterday, but after it was responded to, I didn't hear anything. So I think that the 3 funding agencies are all on board, and all of the T's have been crossed and the I's dotted. So you should see that in probably, I'm guessing, a month and a half. It should be started. It's ready to let out for bid. Any questions?
Oh, no.
You almost got away.
Yeah, right.
The bridge has got cracks in it, so that facade thing, and I guess Lincoln Street, Sheboygan does too, but that's not our problem. Have they talked about an ultimate solution?
Mike Roper said that, in the fall, the thing to do would be to sand it off. And I gave to Mike the information that I got from the guy who repainted the streetlights there, 3 weeks ago. He gave me a printout of the type of paint that should be used on that so that that won't happen.
Didn't you suggest a marine paint?
Yeah,
Marine paint.
I
Did you use a marine paint?
I can't remember, I mean, you've got it, I hope. So, but it wouldn't be, it's, right now it'll be curing, and in the fall it can be sanded off and redone. And somebody else had their hand up.
Oh, that was me.
Oh, good. Yes, sir.
I was just wondering, Cindy, On this Indian River pathway, you mentioned it's for the school children?
Well, see,
To go
it's
back and
three funding agencies, and from the bottom of the hill, across from the entrance to the state park,
Yeah,
up to where M68, where the DNR office is, down to the elementary school. That is Safe Routes to Schools.
okay.
That's who's funding that 100%. Then the next piece down is MDOT, and the next piece is the DNR Trust Fund.
So the MDOT would run from the bottom of the hill across the river to 68?
I don't think that piece goes quite to 68. The trust fund picks it up from where the bike path is, down and across those push button things for pedestrians. That's part of their function too.
So there'd be push button activated light at 68,
Right.
27 by
I don't know if
27.
you've ever tried to cross your bike there. I have. It is absolutely deadly.
Well, if you go on a green light, it's not too bad.
And no, I almost got whacked there twice, and I've never done it again. Third time might not be so lucky.
Okay, now, I was just curious, was there ever a study done to see how many children will use that pathway? Because I live here and I go by there almost every day, and I might see 2 or 3.
Well, but if it was safe, maybe they would. You know, as a
that's
parent,
true,
I
too.
would not have my kids walking up and down that hill, particularly in the wintertime.
Yeah.
The pathway is off of the road. It's at the top of the rise there. So the hazard of,
Keeps them away from the road about, what, 70, 80 feet, something like that? Back,
yeah, I don't remember how far it
All
is,
right,
but
well,
it,
just
it
off
does
the
get
road.
them off of the road.
okay. All right, that's all I have for you.
Okay. Can I sit?
As a piece of general information, MDOT called today and they said that July 19th, they expect to tie up, to be done with the road up here, 68 between the church and King Lane. So, let's see here, west side road end.
I'm Robin Roan. I'm chairman of the West Side Recreation Committee. We have a board member. We are a 6-citizen board appointed by the committee. Jane McGinnis is our secretary. Daniel Roan is a member. Charlie Miller is a member. Gordon Temple, 7. Gordon Temple, Dick DeVore, and Ben Colley. Yes, Ben Colley is Jane is our donation from the township board, and Ben is our donation from the Parks Committee. That way we hoped, because we have been on the Parks and Recreation plan, the 5-year plan previously, and we're still on the 5-year plan this year, or for this next 5 years, for the improvement of the public accesses on the west side of Burt Lake. We have 5. We have Ellinger Road, we have Hamilton Road, we have Resort Road, we have Rada Road, and we have Fisher Trail. All but Fisher Trail are supposedly 66 feet. So far, what we have struggled to do since basically the Committee of Citizens since 2005, 2006, is the first go around put up public access signs. This time, we asked for improvement of Ellinger Resort and Roder so that you would be able to get your boat into the water. We love Marina Park, but it's full. So if we come over sometimes to park in Marina Park, the citizens on the west side can't. We love the park, but it is no longer a drop and go at the state park. So if the west side people don't make it to Marina Park or the other public accesses, we have no place to go except for Maple Bay. The community on the west side really wants their road ends improved so that we have access to the lake. At the last meeting, we've had 2 lawyers' letters after the township has agreed to give us a letter of support and for us to go to the road commission. We've had 2 attorneys' letters, which are against improving the Resort Road. The township made it their goal for us to improve Resort Road first as the test case. We have the first, we asked for a windshield bid, and we got that back for about $25,000 for Resort Road. I wrote the check for the 2% windshield. We're doing this all on donations because the township has not given us anything. The next will be, we had decided at the next meeting to survey Resort in Ellinger, and we hopefully have another meeting that will survey all 5 of the accesses. That way, everyone will know who owns it after the title search, where the property lines, so there won't be any Mack Avenue or Ellinger Road expense on the township and or the road commission. At the moment, we're waiting for the final windshield estimate for Resort, which should have a concrete ramp, a DNR boat skid, and a 20 by 20 dredge pool. This is what we've asked for the permit. Kathy Bunker of the Road Commission is still working on it. Summer is not her time to do this kind of thing. We had gotten permission from the Road Commission and the township for the dock at Ellinger. We want to build it by the DNR standard, but inasmuch as we don't have the permit back from Resort Road, we want to make sure that the dock is the same as Resort. Also, now that we've had the 2 attorney letters, we would like, before we put the dock in at Ellinger, like to know where the property lines are and who owns the property, so that will be done so that no one, when we get to a meeting and because the township has said at times we should survey them, maybe we should, maybe we shouldn't. At the end, the money will be donated. There should be $1,000 coming. I think we already have 100 sitting there. The total for surveying the 5 should be $1,900 to $2,200. And then we'll go for title search. So there will be no problem as to who owns, and it should be all the road commission, and we can move on from there. We're still waiting for Kathy Bunker, and we may wait until September until she gets off the road to finish the permit process. At that time, there has been enough controversy that there will probably be a public meeting for this. The DEQ and the Army Corps will have a public meeting. So far, all of the funds, we hope to have, I didn't see the resorter. There's we put an ad in for donations for the surveying for this project. And like I said, we think it's gonna cost $2,200, and we probably have $1,100 of that already for the project. The committee needs to meet again to approve the surveying of the other 3 roads. And as soon as we get time to come back from everybody's busy schedule, hopefully next week or the week afterwards, we will have that. And the surveying will be done a week following. Any questions? Got away free?
This time.
Beautification?
The Beautification Committee is a subcommittee of the Parks Commission, so we basically work on smaller projects within the parks budget to beautify certain areas that come to our attention or are brought to our attention. We started out mainly with the bench project. All the benches that you see along the main street and in the parks are painted by local artists and the school art department and built and restored when they need to be by the shop class. So that's our biggest project, and as simple as benches may seem, it's really not that simple of a project. So that takes up a lot of the time and effort of the committee. The committee members are Jim Burke, he's our chairman, Barb McLaren, Brandon Belts from the school, myself, and Cindy Fisher. The other things, we've had our hand in the Hideaway Park and working with the school in that and getting things going. We have a new sign that was built by the students in the shop class that will go up soon, and also Jim and his crew are working on some fill there and then grass. So like Jennifer said, it's really becoming a nice little park, and we hope to get benches and maybe a swing and some things down there also. So nice little addition to the parks. And the other thing that we have on our radar that'll be our next project are the welcome signs at the various places coming into town. The one by the golf course is real nice and stands out, and you can see it. Some of the other ones we didn't even know existed, so we're going to work on clearing around those and planting some flowers and things like that. So that's what we do. Any questions? Thank you.
Bobby? Marina Park?
My name is Sally Snyder, and I'm the chairman of Marina Park Commission. Just so that some of you could be aware, Marina Park Commission's been in existence for 17 years, working to develop and implement the vision of Marina Park. Progress made to date has been accomplished through donations, grants, the 2006 recreation millage, and lots of hard work. Marina Park has held the responsibility to renovate the green docks in May of 2007, build a deep water boat launch, which was opened in August of 2009, lower the North Central Rail Trail from Indian River Bridge to the depot in 2011, and in August of 2009, DNR approached the township about creating a trailhead in downtown Indian River. Marina Park took on the additional responsibility of finding funding for and designing a trailhead utilizing the township property from River Street to the depot, which is a rather confined area. Application was made to the Natural Resources Trust Fund, and when we received the grant, DNR agreed to provide the matching funds. In December of 2012, Marina Park submitted an application to DNR for a lease to use and maintain parts of the North Central Trail from River Street to Martha Street. The lease is for 25 years with multiple year options to renew. The lease will be coming to the Township Board meeting tonight for approval. Currently, there are 15 people representing Marina Park, the Parks Commission, the DDA, Inland Lake Schools, the Indian River Chamber, the Beautification Committee, the Township Board, and the DNR, working with Bill Sanders, a landscape architect, to create a vision of place for the trailhead. It's here. Components of the design need to include public parking, winterized restrooms, trail access to the restrooms, a pathway to connect the trailhead with Marina Park, and green space. The group will be holding a public information meeting on Thursday, July 25th. We haven't determined the time yet, to reveal the plan to the community and answer questions. After the plan is finalized, it will need to be submitted to the DNR, the Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund, and the Township Board for final approval before going out for bids. It's anticipated that the trailhead construction will occur at the same time as the streetscape construction. And I want to empathize with my fellow committee chairs because this process takes a long time. When you got as many fingers in the pie, it takes a long time to get approval from all of them. So, are there any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes the committee reports and citizen comments. If you would please, yes ma'am, would you please come over to the podium?
Sure. If I can make it there without tripping. My name is Sue Shervany. I live on Plymouth Beach Road in Indian River, and I would like to commend all of the people who serve on these committees, most of them for no pay or peanuts. They go to the meetings, they spend time before the meetings, working on an agenda, getting their reports together, and then they spend a lot of time in the public explaining what happens at the meetings. And I really think that they deserve a commendation from the citizens of Tuscarora Township. Thank you.
Citizen comments? Motion to adjourn. Oh, so go ahead, Janet.
My name is Janet Vance, and I'm a citizen of this township. I do not live in the sewer special assessment district. However, I'd like to tell you why I'm against the sewer project as it is planned. Not that I'm against the sewers, just the way it has been planned. Crony capitalism, special deals, inequitable assessments, and secret committees is the reason why I'm against it. We rail against this very thing when it comes to the Washington DC or Lansing, and we should feel the same outrage when it happens right here in our own township. Let me give you some examples. The sewer committee was not an advisory committee or a fact-finding committee. It was the committee that did indeed formulate and effectuate governmental decisions. By their own admissions, these meetings should have been publicly posted, minutes taken, and accounting of who made these decisions and why. This is not what happened. Ask yourselves, why did this happen this way? Our own township officials were active members on this committee, and this was a deliberate attempt at bypassing the public's right to know, be involved, and have their voices heard before the decisions were made final. During these secret committee meetings, special considerations were made to the large landmass owners, specifically in and near the industrial park area, just to name a few. And this gave them a large percentage of the voting influence, but the shift of the financial responsibilities went to the small businesses and homeowners, such as, there's a 5-acre parcel of vacant property near the industrial park area. The owner's voting power represented approximately 3% of the voting influence. And if they did indeed receive 3% of the construction costs, that's what I'm talking about, construction costs, not operation and maintenance, their assessment would be approximately $80,000. However, their assessment is only $8,000. What a sweet deal, a 90% discount. The in-between received a $56,000 assessment, nowhere near what I would consider a large landmass. Due to the very rules of this unofficial, unelected gang of 9 engineer wannabes who cobbled together whatever criteria they decided at their luncheon meetings. Is this fair? I don't know. I report, you decide. Out of the 9 committee members, only 2 own property within the district, and one of these committee members received special consideration for his property assessment, and the committee allowed a completely different standard of assessment criteria to be used on this one and only property within the special assessment district. There are only 120 pocketbooks paying for a $2.6 million loan with a 40-year lien put against their property for something they don't really need. The sewer committee report was distributed with the petitions and were circulated, and they made several promises of financial contributions that would help and it would lessen the cost of the project if it was to move forward. The project had to be voted on now because if the township could join the DDA streetscape project with the sewers, the DDA would be able to contribute up to $1 million to help with the cost of the project. So sad, it was completely separated soon after the petitions were signed. The EDA, another funding source, would be willing to donate up to $1 million to improve the industrial park area, and the township could put some of that towards the treatment plant facility. That never materialized. And the state park's inclusion into the system would represent, quote unquote, a tremendous savings to the people. I asked the board this, show me the money. They can't, because it's not there. There is no compelling need for this system. There's no environmental risk existing in the district where this project is planned. There is no documented health risk or studies to show if there are any problems, where the problems are, or how best to address them. This entire project was planned to benefit a few at the expense of the others. This is not how representative government is supposed to work, and it's up to us to fix it. Thank you.
Mike,
Excuse me,
can I make a comment?
but you have to wait until after Bob is done.
Clarification?
Can you hold for just a second, Bob? Go
Sure.
ahead, go ahead.
The DDA was not contributing $1 million. I would hate to have anybody think we had that kind of money. It was going to save the sewer project $1 million roughly because we would have the streets torn up.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
Okay, my name is Robert Morris. I'm a retired manager of a wastewater plant, did that for over 30 years, responsible for operations management, operational repair replacement budgets. Okay, what is the purpose of the proposed wastewater treatment plant? What is its purpose? Why are we doing this? Why are we attempting to do this? In 1972, President Nixon signed the Clean Water Act. And since then, the federal government, the state governments have gone after cities and villages around the country to clean streams and lakes. And in those 41 years, they've never come after Indian River, so I must commend the village for keeping the water clean. Who determined that this multi-million-dollar project must take place? The EPA, part of the federal government? Nope. The DEQ, part of the state government? Nope. The local health department? Nope. The committee to bring wastewater treatment to Indian River seems to be part of it. Here it is. In the part of this, it says, compliance with any future legislation is expected to heavily favor the installation of sanitary sewers, but there are benefits to local governments and residents. Maintenance will no longer be required by the homeowner, most of which is not performed anyway. Presently, it costs between $185 to $350 to pump out a septic tank. This is recommended maintenance every 3 to 5 years. 3 to 5 years, $350. Going forward, has the board accurately determined the total cost to those in the special assessment district? I put together a small budget. I think it's fairly accurate. And as I mentioned to Bobby the other night, based on the building you have, it appears that you're going to be billed roughly $4,000 every year for operational costs, bond repayment costs, repair replacement costs. I didn't include an administrative fee because I didn't know what the board was going to do. So in that 3 to 5 years, 4 years on an average, the old way is going to cost you $350 in that 4-year span, or $16,000 with the new plan. Which do you prefer? You don't have to answer that. When and if this project commences, when will you begin the bidding process for construction once you receive the loan? Remember, bidding for the lowest price for labor and materials is necessary to prove to the federal government and your auditor that the funds are being used properly. Your auditor will ask if there is anything that was done improperly or if there was any deceit. Gone through that before. If there is any, the information goes to Lansing, and you will receive phone calls from national companies asking who the lowest bidder was. Have you told everyone that the board was advised by the DEQ, division of the state of Michigan, that Tuscarora Township shall be ultimately responsible for the loan and for the operation of the proposed system? Not just the SAD, the whole township. And this is not uncommon. West Traverse Township on the other side of the city, Harbor Springs, they did that in the late 70s. Littlefield Township, which surrounds the village of Lansing, they did that in the 80s. They took the responsibility, they had to. Since the township as a whole will be backing up any failure in this project, don't you think all the constituents within the township should have a chance to vote on this, especially due to the $400,000 engineering fee from a few years ago, which we are all paying? You will agree with that, don't you? You don't have to answer it. If not, you're following the practice of virtual representation, which was used by the British in the 1700s. When they passed the Tea Act, a group of individuals led by Samuel Adams, somebody I think very highly of, Janet, you know why, fiercely fought against the taxation without representation, one of the major causes of the American Revolution. I see no reason to put people in this township into that level of debt when there is no governmental demand to construct what you are planning. I strongly recommend that you do 2 things. Number 1, cease and desist from any further plans for this project until a vote of the whole township is completed. And 2, immediately return the funds currently held to those who paid into the fund and to no others. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm Paula Plano and I own Paula's Cafe. I had talked to Dave Walters and he is with the DEQ. And I had found out about this lift station that they're gonna put by the restaurant. And it's gonna be right on the corner. If anybody's been to the restaurant, you go past the restaurant where the mailboxes are and it's going right on the corner. I think Danny's agreed to let them put that lift station there. Well, they have some in Sheboygan and I've talked to a few people up there about the lift stations and they smell. Now, I was told that they're gonna go ahead and fix it so the smell's not that bad. Well, when somebody's eating food, they don't wanna smell at all. Now, what I did find out is this. It's going 68 down Club Road to the station, then back to 68.
Oh, wow.
So I asked Dave, why is that? Because that's just an extra cost all the way around. We're a secondary road. They don't plow us in the winter. In fact, half the time Louis plows the road, period. And there's a safety light that comes on. You know, the guy's gonna come every 3-4 days to check it. So what happens when he leaves, the safety light comes on and everything just sits there. This way, and then he said, well, it was checked to where it was a lower spot because it's a gravity. Well, it's not. Up by the corner is 2 to 3 feet lower than where it's going. In fact, when you go down Club Road, there's a little bit of a dip that goes up and then it goes to the station. So Dave said he's gonna check into these things because he was not aware of this. Now, this is my opinion and a lot of other people I've spoken to. We were under the impression that it was gonna go from the lift station through Danny's property and under the expressway, and it's not. So right there is a lot of extra cost. And two, and I mentioned to Dave too, the thing about the water. If the economy keeps on going the way it is, I've talked to quite a few business people, and there's a chance they might be closing for a few months in the winter. So I don't know what's gonna happen then, because if this is a gravity station, there's no way that that's gonna get up to the station at the restaurant back. But my main concern right now is the cost, because that right there is a lot of extra costs that we don't need. Because if it's going down Club Road and back again to 68, I asked Dave, what is the object of that? And he mentioned about it was lower, and I said, no, it's not. I gave him information where he could go, he called me back, he checked it out, and that was true. We are not the lowest spot. So I'm looking at it this way from my own personal view. This is a personal thing going on because I have been against the sewers. I am not against the sewers. If they were going by the lakes and everybody is paying for them, none of this stuff would have happened from day one. We're all supposed to be here together, but the little guy once again is getting stepped on so everybody else can enjoy it, all right? And then another thing, I mentioned to him, well, if it has to go there, then why can't it go 200 feet past where it's going so it's not close to the restaurant, which he's checking into that too. But the main thing is, if it was up on the corner or just coming down 68 like it should, stay there. There's electric and everything. Everything is all set up there for it. And it's always plowed. That's the main road. They keep that all plowed. And the law requires that this road has got to be plowed all the time. Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, since we've been there, it doesn't happen. And all of yous know too, a lot of yous know on the weekends, good luck in trying to get a plow out there. Okay, so it's not gonna happen. So there's a potential problem. And then if anybody's under the impression that you guys don't have to pay any of this money, that just the SED's paying for it, you better start checking. We've been out there trying to tell everybody, check on everything we have said, everything. And if you can find something that's different, please let us know. We're more than willing to listen. And we're only here for survival at this point. And we shouldn't have to be here for survival in our town. This is just the most redundantest thing that's ever happened that I can think of in our little town. And it split friends and family. And as far as boycotting, I'm gonna tell you what, you people that have boycotted, you haven't hurt me at all. Because I have no problem closing in the winter, and I will be with our visitors for the summer, okay? But I'm thinking about the senior citizens and all the other people that don't have a choice. That's why I'm here. Because if this really was just about Louis and I doing the sewer, no problem. Close up in the winter, I'm done. And as far as selling, yeah, I don't want to be told that I've been there too long. I will sell when I'm ready, okay? And who I sell to will be my decision at that point. So, once again, that's all I'm saying. As far as that lift station, that's a lot of extra money. It's gonna be corners, it's gonna come down, then it's gonna try and go back, and it's gonna go back. I just found that out last Monday. And it's been quiet up until then. Has anybody in the room ever heard that before? No? That's what I'm saying. This is the secrecy that went on.
My name's Randy Bishop. I'm here on behalf of Patriot Voice Radio. We're heard in your community on 94.5 FM. The main reason I got involved in this as a reporter, I contacted Senator Howard Walker who I ran against in 2010 in the primary. He referred me to talk to the DEQ. He also mentioned to me the process that I don't know if all of you are aware of, but there is a special use permit that's having to be granted by the Sheboygan County Commissioners. I believe their next meeting is July 3rd. At what time? I'm here as a public service because I think people need to be informed. And we're going to be talking about this on the radio, both our morning show, 9 to noon, and also the afternoon show, getting out the message to the folks in Sheboygan County. I found out through Senator Walker's office that the gentleman that spoke, and sir, I'm sorry, what's your first name? Bob. Brought out a very interesting point that you have to understand. There is a fiscal responsibility clause. And if you want to check into it and do a little due diligence on it, you'll find out that what you have here is a sewer district that's been set up. And those folks have been assigned, in my opinion, unfairly based on the land comparison ratio of the people that got to vote for this and then the people who are actually paying for it. But here is what I think is going to happen, and I think time will prove this out. The bidding process has not been updated for all these additional costs. There's a lot of changes that have occurred. There now is a water component for, I believe, 4 parcels that need to make sure that if they're impacted as far as the wastewater permit that was approved, that they may end up having to tap into this water system, which has never been part of the cost. My contention when I spoke in front of the county commissioners was, why don't we go ahead with the PowerPoint presentation that Craig made, talked about bidding process being done in June/July. I believe that's what, Craig, is that the date for your, that was on that PowerPoint? Am I misquoting your bidding slide? Okay. So my point is today is June 26th. We've got 4th of July next week. That slide said June, July was when updated bidding was going to be placed. Normally these contractors, they've got all these bids already in their computers. It's a matter of an Excel spreadsheet. You change it from one project to another. You put in your specifications, the length of your pipes, your lift stations, and the computer just automatically updates those bids. They're normally given 30 days, is from what I've researched and talking to other folks about it. So even if tonight, as a result of this meeting, the folks here in the township contacted these potential bidding contractors, and Gordy Frazier, of course, is part of it because they've built these projects in other communities. They should be able, I would think, within the next 30 days, be able to give you folks an updated bid with all the changes and the lift diversions and the water component and all these other things and put them into 2013 pricing. I'm a former truck driver. Diesel pricing to haul the materials to simply build this station has gone up, okay, 250% since the last time this project was bid. Just in the hauling of the materials to the site. Common sense would tell you it's going to cost more in 2013 than it did previously. Not even taking into account all these changes and improvements and modifications and things that have had to happen as a result of this permitting process. Reach out to all your friends and family that live in Sheboygan County. Have them come to the county commissioners meeting. There is a legitimate, valid basis in the permit process called economic impact. I believe paragraph 18.8 of the application. Of the ordinance, I'm sorry. In the application for the special use permit. 18.8 is really where the problem is. If the township board was able to get a current updated bid of all the pricing in 2013 prices with all of the changes and all of the components, and find out that maybe we're not talking about 4.2 million. Maybe we're talking 5.2 or 6.2 or 7, whatever, $1 million. I believe that USDA grant is for 1.5. How are you folks going to make up the difference? It's going to have to be an increase in your loan. Now, with 120 some folks responsible for that increase, it makes, again, common sense, they're not going to be able to pay it. So when the default occurs by certain seniors that have called our radio station crying, I live in the township, I'm not going to be able to afford this. We are on fixed income, we are on Social Security, we have our bills all planned out. They do their monthly budget for electric because they want their electric bill to be the same. What happens when they can't pay their assessment and these fees for tap-ins and other things? They'll be foreclosed on. It's that simple. When they're foreclosed, those properties will be sold at auction, and there will be people, perhaps more affluent people from downstate or whatever, who would love to have the properties at a distressed rate, buy it, subject to those assessments. They'll come in and write a check and pay it off. But what's happening is a paradigm shift from what I've been able to see in the community of residents who've lived here a long time, that are maybe perhaps on fixed income or moderate income or retirement, where if this project is put through, is there a plan and a concept to get rid of the folks that have been here a long time that don't make a lot of money? Is this, I'm not saying a conspiracy, but is there a sincere intent to try to up the community economically by perhaps doing this? My point is this: find out what the real costs are in today's dollars. Find out what the economic impact of that's going to be. So, Bob?
You finish now, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir. Talk to your county commissioners at that meeting, because they have the ability to simply table it like they already have how many times? So my question is this: why can't that county commissioners board make the decision in August or September once the bidding process is done? All I'm looking for as a reporter is what are the real costs minus that fixed $1.5 million grant. What are the people of Tuscarora Township, the sewer assessment district, going to end up actually having to pay back? 4.2, I can guarantee, is not going to be the price unless they reduce the specifications, the materials used in the construction. Instead of using triple wall flex component, because now it's in a different location. Now there's more lift stations. Now you've got lesser folks perhaps here. Paula shuts down in the winter. We've got less flow in the system. You know how cold it gets. It could freeze. Those pipes could break. If they don't use the right materials, you could have a major environmental impact to this community. Who's responsible for that?
The township.
Township can't afford it. There's all kinds of problems. There's economic problems. It's going to end up falling onto the county. And I'm all too familiar of having to deal with Wayne County right now in Detroit, Michigan, and what they're going through, and us having to talk about that whole thing weekly on our radio show because of the emergency manager situation in Wayne County, Detroit, Michigan. I just say slow this process down, table it, get the bid, find out what the real numbers are, and then everybody can make an informed decision before it goes forward. Is that too much to ask?
Did you imply that the prospective contractors might be willing to give out their prospective bid to people who call them? Or did I hear something wrong?
No. What I contacted a few contractors that do this kind of work to find out their bidding process, to substantiate my statement that I knew was being recorded tonight. They said the bidding process was usually about a 25 to 30 day, give or take, 3 to 4 weeks is what they said. and it's all in computers. Their bidding process, they know excavation, they know piping fees, they know lift station costs, they know all that stuff. Once you give them your specification materials list, and I don't know if Craig and the folks in the township have done that yet, or if Gordy Frazier has actually given them specific lift station pump number 517D as a model that they're gonna use specifically for these lift stations. If they have, these contractors I spoke to said that they could just plug those model numbers in and the computer would generate the bid on the computer. He said 3 to 4 weeks was not unreasonable.
I just want to make sure that you understood that these kind of situations, you find out what the actual cost is going to be at an opening. Let's say it's at 3 o'clock on some Thursday. The prospective contractors, excuse me, quite often don't show up until the last hour, till 2 or 2:30 in the afternoon. Even though they know what their costs are going to be, they want to wait till the last minute.
Right. And they're not.
Been through that many times.
Yes, and he did say that they will try to find out if there's other contractors bidding, how many there are. You know, they play the game to find out how much.
And they have to be sealed.
Yes. And that's where the problem is, like you say, they wait to the last minute, they get open, they're presented. Does this board have the constitutional authority within your charter to accept that bid?
And that is an open meeting situation.
It does fall under those rules.
It's not a charter,
Yeah.
is it?
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
One question, when you sign, is it gonna be the full faith and credit of the township or just the SAD?
Just comments, no full faith and credit.
Okay.
It's not full faith and credit, just comments.
Yes,
Yes,
it will
sir.
be the full faith and credit of the township.
My name's Patrick McGinnis. I'm a resident of Tuscarora County, or Township. I am not in the sewer district, but Bob, I'd like to question you on your averages. In these meetings, we had one person within the sewer district claim that they have their septic cleaned every 6 months. We have another person in the district that claims they've been in business for 12 years, dumping dyes, bleaches, and heavy metals in, that never had their system pumped. So what does that do to your average? The other Studio 27 and you. And the other, if she's going to say things about me there, then I will answer her questions. The other thing is, if my sewer septic system fails, every one of the people in Tuscarora is responsible for it, according to the Michigan Supreme Court. They're liable for any damages my leaking septic causes. I think having a sewer system is just a prudent act by the township to try to mitigate those possible damages. Thank
Excuse me,
While you had your,
I need to respond to that, okay? Number one, that's my choice to do it every 6 months.
That's what
I
you said,
talked
though.
to-
okay, that's
yes.
enough, we're not gonna
This
go
is
there.
the year.
You
started,
said every
I
6
don't need to do
months,
that.
I'm asking how that affects the
Stop,
averages.
please stop. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm not a resident of this township.
What is your name?
My name's Bob Cross.
Thank you.
Many of you know me as Bob Caffer. I study comprehensive annual financial reports. My mother lives in Littlefield Township. She's not connected to the sewer system. She's not connected to their water treatment system, and she still gets a bill from them every month. So all you get in the rest of the township that think that what won't happen when the failure for the rest of the special assessment district to pay happens is you'll be getting a bill every month, okay? It'll fall upon you, because just as the DEQ said there in their meeting up at the school here, is ultimately the responsibility and the financial responsibility falls on all of the citizens of Tuscarora Township, okay? Now when you guys fail, and you probably will from looking at what I see, is it's going to go on the Sheboygan County, okay? And when that happens, you're going to strap the entire residents of Sheboygan County with the bills, okay? And so eventually, what you're looking at here is the implementation of furthering Agenda 21. Some of you may agree that Agenda 21 is real. Some of you may say, no, it isn't. But what ultimately is happening is, financially, via our townships and our counties and our cities, our citizens are being overburdened with taxes, bills that they can no longer afford. They're being run out of their communities that they've lived in for generations, and they are being forced to move into urban areas. Now that's what I look at this as. It's a forced removal via taxation of the people of this community that have lived here for generations. Now, we can debate on whether the sewer system is needed, it's not needed, all that. That's a whole thing for health departments and all that, and it seems they haven't required it yet. If there was a need, it would be required.
Mandated.
Yes, it would already be mandated. Now, the other thing is, they want to play that the Corps of Engineers doesn't control that. Well, let me tell you, the Sturgeon River is a navigable waterway in fact. And you can go and look up what a navigable waterway in fact is on the Corps of Engineer website. And I have the PDF, and I have the Supreme Court ruling. And if it's a navigable waterway in fact, it is a navigable waterway in law. And if it is a navigable waterway in law, you are required to have a Corps of Engineer permit to do anything across those waterways. Some of you already probably know that when dealing with trying to put in a boat ramp or a dock at Burt Lake. So there you go again. You guys are playing with fire, and you don't even know it. And you're going to burn your own house down if you continue with this. And that's all I got to say.
Bob, we're not going to try, that's not too redundant here, but go ahead.
I got 30
respect your
seconds.
opinion.
I think we can do it in 30 seconds. I strongly recommend to resolve this. Who's going to be responsible, who isn't? Call your financial advisor. I did.
SAD, I know you talked about it.
Yeah, I've known him for 20 years.
Yeah, I know, he speaks
There you go.
highly of you.
And have him come up here. He could
He
resolve
is-
all this.
It's SAD, so anyway, there's more. Yes, ma'am.
And it has nothing to do with the sewers. My question.
Thank you.
Why is it at the monthly meetings, we are no longer allowed to ask questions? Just make comments. We're not allowed to ask a question. It's not allowed, plain and simple. Why?
Violation of our First Amendment right.
Isn't that what the meetings are for, is for the citizens that put you here to ask a question?
This is a public meeting, a meeting of the Board of Trustees held in public, and it's for public comment. And questions, if you have questions, you bring them to us, and we decide, or I'll look at it and decide if it's something that can go on an agenda. This is a.
So you didn't decide whether or not you have to answer my question
Well,
then? Is that-
no, I'm not gonna go there, I'm sorry.
No,
I'm gonna end up, I'm sorry.
Recall.
So I can't even get an answer to that question?
This is a meeting of the trustees held in public, for you to hear what we're talking about. Anyway, comments, Scott?
Pays your salary.
Yeah.
You guys need to go.
Just to clarify, the way the Open Meetings Act works,
Please.
the moderator cannot deny you the opportunity to ask questions. You can ask questions if you want. Whether the board chooses to answer them or not, that's up to them. Just to make, I guess, a comment, you can determine a question or choose to answer it or not. Mike, at the meeting when they approved the special assessment district, and they were, actually, I think it was a subsequent one where they hired Gordy Frazier, you said at that time, we can do this project for $4.2 million, we think we can do it for 4.1. My question is, if it comes in over that, what happens? Do you pull the plug or not? your indication at that time was that you would. I wanna know if you're still there or if that's changed.
We're holding their feet to the fire on the budget.
So we're still 4.2?
That's where, we won't know until we get it, that's what we're hoping.
That's what we're hoping.
That's not what he asked.
Okay,
That's not what he
If the hope doesn't pan out, is what I'm saying. You know, it looks to me like it's gonna go to 6.
A special assessment district cannot, the cost to that district cannot be increased.
Can't be
Cannot
increased.
be increased.
But could you scrape up money somewhere else and say the special assessment district
Oh,
is
where
still the
from?
same? Okay, that's fine. So if it's over 4.2, it's pulled. I mean, that's the, because the concern I have there is if their construction budget is grossly underestimated, which I believe it is based on other things, and I may be right or full of crap, we'll see how that goes, but, if their construction budget is grossly underestimated, I suspect that the operational budget would be too, and I don't wanna get hooked into that. That's my comment.
Are we on the annual meeting rules and regulations, or are we on the regular meeting? If we're on the annual meeting, any questions or anything can be asked and be brought up and be voted on by electors.
Just two things, just two,
Take it to the back of the thing.
back of the front page of the.
Can I do it from here?
Yes, you may, yes, you may.
I'm totally confused. That's my comment. Because I understood that certain people in the business district made a request to have an assessment for sewers. What? What did they request?
Presented a petition.
They presented a petition to have an assessment district established. And as far as I know, from what I've listened to for the last 4 or 5 years, you guys did what you were supposed to do according to the law.
No,
Is that correct?
Correct.
no.
Okay, we're not.
I'm not asking you people.
Please, folks, we're not gonna go there, it's,
We had one of these last year, which is totally disgraceful, and I don't wanna get into another one. I've been in this community for a long time. I've been 83 years old. I've been coming here since I was 8. And this water over the dam, we should have had sewers 25 or 30 years ago. But because people were short-minded, didn't know what the hell, didn't know what was good and what was bad, they lost the funding. We've been doing this 3 or 4 times. Now, my kids are gonna have to pay for sewers. My grandkids are gonna have, because you're gonna have them eventually, no matter what. And if you think we don't need them, you got your head in the sand. I'm not in the district, I'm in the residential area. But I would dare say most of the, most of the, systems, whatever you call them, leach fields, are not doing their job. And there's a lot of places in this community that don't have adequate septic systems. There's a lot of them that don't even have. And the county doesn't require anybody to upgrade their self as far as a workable system or anything else. They sell properties one after another that don't have decent stuff. We just repaired a boathouse not too long ago. They found fecal matter in the boathouse. They found that kind of stuff. So if you think you don't need sewers, you got your head in the sand. And I'm getting sick and tired of it, frankly.
thank you, Mr. Brown, thank you. Yes, sir, Stephen?
There's a lot of people he's talking about can't tie into this system.
Right. Okay, let's move on to public comment, please. Yes, ma'am.
Why?
Okay, Nancy, could you stand up there? Excuse, public comment, please.
Nancy Wright. I want to know why the DEQ or somebody can't go down the river, can't go around the lake, and find the people that are dumping into it and have them build sewers, the right type of sewers. It seems to me that would be a lot cheaper to do it that way for everybody.
adjournment is closed. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
We'll take a 10-minute recess. 10-minute recess, and we'll have the regular scheduled July meeting.